Good evening, America. Welcome to Revitalizing Live podcast on KLRNradio.net, where Doc Diego and I, Dave Matthews, will redeem our mission on assisting our battle-riddled Korea, Vietnam, and Gulf War veterans. Together, we will be a decisive force on revitalizing lives from PTSD and traumatic brain injury, the signature wounds of modern-day warfare. And myself, a former VA TBI patient, and Dr. Diego, a licensed clinical psychologist that specializes in PTSD, we will fuse an unprecedented chemistry. So whether you receive one of these wounds or even both from combat, in-theater accident, or MST, military sexual trauma, we will unearth the resources to get you, your family, or friends the help they need through our audience and our oath-taken God-given talent. This is Sergeant Dave Matthews at gmail.com at the YouTube Revitalizing Live Studio in beautiful Seminole County, USA on the Winter Springs Oviedo line. Okay, you're probably wondering why I'm playing Caddyshack's theme song. I can understand your confusion because, I am alright, but that's not the reason. I'm playing this Kenny Loggins clip is because we are doing a special podcast on golf as the number one therapy for our heroes, our wounded warriors. So in a moment, I will have the founder, Tom Underdown, of Fairways For Warriors.org on the show, and Doc Diego breaking it down on the science side, why golf is such a therapeutic medicine for anyone with PTSD or TBI. But before we do that, let's hear another clip from the movie.
Nice cool drink. Varmints, scums, flying menace to the golfing industry. You're a disgrace, and your varmints, you're one of the lowest members of the food chain, and you'll probably be replaced by the rat. Well, I have been pushed. I think it's about time that somebody teach these varmints a little lesson about morality and about what it's like to be a decent, upstanding member of a society. Okay. I guess we're playing for keeps now. I guess the kidding around is pretty much over, huh? I guess it's just a matter now of pumping about 15,000 gallons of water down there.
All right, so here I have is Tom Underdown, the founder and president of Fairways For Warriors.org. Tom, thank you for coming on the show. We're really excited to hear your stories about what golf has done to our wounded warriors with PTSD and TBI. I'm very excited to have you on the show. I want to thank you very much.
Fairways For Warriors, I founded it 9.5 years ago. It's a nonprofit 501c3 company that helps combat wounded veterans with their mental and physical, and if they want spiritual rehabilitation. We use golf as one of the ways we do that. And our definition of a combat wounded veteran is any veteran or active duty have served in a combat theater, whether they were physically injured or not, because it's really the invisible wounds that are most difficult to overcome. And we include any combat era, and we also include families in everything we do, because that's very important to get the family involved, is that they also suffer from the stress of combat from their spouse or their parent.
Yeah, so in other words, so Tom, I was not in a gun battle, right? So
Right.
What you're telling me is I suffered a motor vehicle accident and received a TBI, and I was full battle rattle, so I was imminent danger, so I was getting imminent danger pay, so that tells you I was in combat outside the wire, so I would be allowed to be a member. Would that be right?
Absolutely positive. I'm sorry, I wish we could do all veterans. We just don't have the resources to do that. So we, our board and I decided we want to help the veterans who need the most help, those who suffered in combat, who are still suffering.
Well, that's outstanding what you're doing for all the veterans here. So how does Fairways For Warriors help combat veterans and their families? How does it actually help them?
We found over the last 9.5 years when a veteran retires, either from service or get medically retired, they first of all they lose their career, Most of them had post-traumatic stress. A lot of them had traumatic brain injury from concussion, from an IED or motor. They've lost their job, they've lost their career, they've lost battle buddies, and when they get out, they're just not sure what to do, and they don't feel comfortable being around civilians. And even their family doesn't understand what they're going through, so they can isolate themselves and sit at home and think and drink, which is a bad combination, and that's why 23 veterans commit suicide every single day in the United States. So this program gets them outdoors with other combat vets in a great environment, gives them something physical to do. You know, the golf is not, it's moderate exercise, what I call it, but it gets them outdoors with other combat vets who know exactly what they're going through. And it's really like therapy without knowing they're doing therapy.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. I never thought of it that way. And we have Doc Diego also. Doc, what do you could you give your take on exactly what a great foundation that Tom's doing? And I heard that you were part of it not too long ago.
Yeah, I went over there and did a training on talking about post-traumatic stress and some of the new innovative memory-focused techniques like accelerated resolution therapy, which we use in a number of our programs. One of the retreat programs that I work with, Special Operations Golf Program, and we take operators who are either medically retired, have been injured in active duty, or who are returning to duty or in the process of med boarding, and we use a combination of the ART along with golf to help with the recovery and adapting to the injury. But with some of the other programs that I work with, I mean, golf is a really phenomenal way to work on some of the transitional stress. Because what happens is your body adapts to operating in a combat zone, and from there, it becomes reflexive. So how your body learns to operate in Fallujah doesn't help you in Walmart. And so golf is one of those activities that can really help with conditioning of the nervous system. And this reconditioning of the nervous system, happens in a number of different ways. First of all, there's the fellowship of golf. There's a history. There's traditions, which folks transitioning from military service understand that the things that we can relate to, we can adapt, we can learn the rules. But also as a sport, it's challenging on a number of different levels, especially when you're working, through injuries. And it's a great way to, task yourself, enjoy the fellowship of other veterans, the people who've gone through the things that you have. I'm a huge fan of it. I don't get to play that often. Only go on these retreats. It makes a huge difference in a number of folks' lives.
Well, I know, Tom, you've also took on the science approach, so you're doing accelerated resolution therapy as well. Can you touch on that, Tom?
Yeah, I was exposed or found out about accelerated restorative therapy about 5 or 6 years ago when the VA gave a grant to the University of South Florida. A group, Gilstrap Associates in Orlando, reached out to me. They knew I had a lot of combat vets. They were doing a study to see how it works. So since then, I have, offered that as a service. We pay for that therapy for any of our combat vets or the family members who need that. And we've seen incredible results. I really like to tell you one fantastic success story. From this doctor was a Vietnam era veteran. He was a Marine. He was in 2 firefights in Vietnam where he was injured, got 2 Purple Hearts, and then in each firefight, everyone in his squad was killed except for him. And that for 40 plus years, he had severe anxiety, post-traumatic stress. He slept 3 hours a night. He had anger issues. He never had a steady relationship. He kept on moving all the time because he felt like if he changed his external environment, then he was going to feel better inside. That didn't work. He came to our house about 4 years ago with a full-blown panic attack. We got him into Gilstrap Associates that evening, and 3 one-hour ART sessions with sleeping 7 hours a night with no nightmares. He couldn't believe it. It was amazing. It changed his life.
What a success story. Yeah. Being in Vietnam, He might have been there at the Quezon, the Battle of Quezon, which was the deadliest day in Vietnam, January 31st in 1968, and it's shown graphically on the Vietnam Wall. So if you ever go to Washington, D.C., you'll see January 31st as the most deadliest day, where we lost 246 Marines in one day. So there's probably a good chance he was in Vietnam in 1968. Probably was. And also, Diego, can you touch up on, you called it art therapy, so it's the same thing. Can you touch up a little bit more on the art therapy?
Yeah, so we call it ART. I'm the clinical director for that research at the University of South Florida, so I help train some of the folks at Gilstrap and Associates, and as well as provide ongoing support. So it originally started off as a therapy to address these traumatic memories because they're stored differently. They're stored in this sort of free-floating active state, so that way you can make a quick reference to it whenever you're in a similar situation without really thinking it through. And just like I was saying, how you learn to operate with Luja doesn't help you at Walmart. And the same thing with some of those memories. So this technique uses progressive relaxation, and we're able to actually process those memories out, like to help the body metabolize them, so it moves them from short-term storage to long-term storage. And I've seen it make a huge difference. We've adapted that. We were using it. We just finished a study for USF and hospice for complicated grief, a 4-session protocol for two or more losses, and we adapted it. And we're now using it at the Mayo Clinic for cancer. Because if you start treating some of these medical experiences we have as small traumas, and they get stored the same way, and we're able to bring it to resolution in a similar way. Most of the veterans programs that I work with, we use ART along with other different physical activities to kind of help both with the stress of military transition as well as getting to those memories.
I think it's art therapy as well. They might be doing the prolonged therapy, cognitive processing therapy. Can you touch on that, Diego, the prolonged exposure therapy and the cognitive processing therapy?
Well, as far as I understand, UCF has a pretty robust program, and there's different ways to get to those memories. So the prolonged exposure is you're basically going over an event over and over again, and it has a high dropout rate, and it's pretty stressful for folks. And I suspect it's like for some experiences, the success that they have is that these are very strong, just more visceral experiences. Like one of the guys that I was working with who did prolonged exposure at the VA, so they wanted to keep talking about when his Humvee got blown up, but he was more concerned about the loss of his friend. That was the hardest part of that memory, was losing his friend, more so than the physicality of being blown up. And so the cognitive processing is also having you recall the event, talking through the thoughts that are related to it. What differentiates the ART and another one called RTM and then another one called RTRR, these are all mind-body, and they're all really based on how the brain stores memory. We want to get to that memory, we want to bring it to a resolution, and what we find is that it's like if you resolve the memory as a movie, the thoughts around it automatically change.
Right. Well, podcast unique, I feel, is that we have two different perspectives. We have the science perspective with Doc Diego, and then we have Tom Underdown, the founder, who's actually out there on the golf course with the Wounded Warrior. So, Tom, you are seeing the transitioning issues that you've seen while on the golf course with the combat veteran. So you're creating that camaraderie, and you're with him almost 4 to 5 hours. You're a battle buddy. You're in the golf cart with him. Maybe you're walking, but you're really connected to that Wounded Warrior veteran. Can you share with me some of the transitioning issues that you have seen while on the golf course with our combat veterans?
What they miss most is the camaraderie, being with other veterans, and that that brotherhood that you get when you're in the military is like none other. So that's what happens in this program. They get outdoors, and then they get to do something, that's fun. They get to have something that's challenging, not only mentally but physically, and with other combat veterans, and it really helps them to heal. I was out several years ago with Chris, who was in Fallujah, and he was involved in the IED. He was on dispatch patrol, and an IED went off. And he had traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress. And the first time I took him out to play golf, we were about halfway through the round. He stops and says, Tom, this is so great. I said, Chris, why is this so great? He said, because I have to focus so hard, I don't have to think about anything else. It just calms me down. So we've been seeing those kind of changes in our veterans, and also the socialization is huge. Most of them are sitting at home and not socializing with anybody, and this gets them out and slowly gets them back into reality and socializing, so that it not only helps them, with being around other vets, but it helps them with their family, it helps them with friends, it helps getting out to social activities as well. And with the adaptive golf technology we have now, almost anybody with any even physical injury can play golf. We have got blind golfers in our program. We got one-armed Jack, who lost his arm when he was 18 in a firefight in Vietnam, and he's a phenomenal golfer. We've got, single amputees, guys with prosthetics, either single or double. We've got some specialized wheelchairs, so that paralyzed veterans can play golf as well. There's almost no physical injury that's going to stop these veterans from getting out. Plus, when they see somebody who has physically injured more than them and see them out playing golf, that gives them encouragement to want to do more.
So it's focusing on the ball. So you and the ball, right? Because you can really basically shut everybody else out, and you're just focusing on that ball. And they haven't had that type of focus since they were in maybe battle. So I can get a feel for that, how just that focusing on that, and then coupling the camaraderie and the great outdoors. I mean, just the landscape itself, the beauty of just walking out there, the wind coming through your hair, and just Florida sunshine, you have to admit, right? I know you're in North Carolina, Tom, but boy, the Florida sunshine, you have to admit, it can really brighten somebody's day, pardon the pun. Yeah, Doc, would you like to add anything else that to Tom to help him with, kind of assist him? I know he's doing a great job, but maybe you might have some tips that you can offer to him that will even excel his program even a step further.
The thing is, it's kind of what you were pointing out about being outside in that environment. It's been, when you're out in regular society, it's overstimulating, especially when you're trying to help your nervous system to adapt to not being constantly on alert, not being the way it learns to operate in a combat environment. Being in that environment, it takes a while for that nervous system to start coming down. A part of it is, is getting the fellowship, the camaraderie, and it's getting to that feeling of this is a safe environment where I can test my skills and I can try these things out. And the physicality of what's involved in golf, from golf mechanics to the aces, halves, to the different clubs that you're using, all serve to actually kind of help rewire and help recondition the brain. So if for people with mild to moderate TBI, I mean, it could be one of those things that's just as helpful as dancing, because a lot of the activities when you're doing sort of cross the body require more integration and coordination that actually can help make improvement. And by rewiring the brain, now there's some more severe injuries that it's going to be harder. There's parts that are more severely damaged and take longer to work around. But what we've been learning through TBI is that continued conditioning and taking on challenges can actually help improve how the brain rewires. But it's also the environment where those challenges take place, because if it's overstimulating and overtaxing, it's a lot more stressful. So the golf course is the perfect environment to sort of work on some of those tasks and test yourself in a challenging way. So where as you get better at the sport, I mean, part of getting better at the sport is that your brain is working around some injury. And without a TBI, you're still working to help the nervous system to adapt. So I think, putting some emphasis on that, how healing the environment is, how it can help rewire the brain. I mean, that's why these stories are so important, because, folks, come back and then they're said, okay, this is the extent of your injuries, here you are, and we're going to pay you for it, without always providing the help and support and rehab. And even in just the general medical community, we're learning more and more about what is possible, when we challenge the brain.
Right, Tom. Tom, I just love your recovery stories. Can you share another success story that you have that just really is the epitome of your foundation?
Yeah. So Juan was a combat engineer. He was on his third combat tour in Afghanistan when he was doing route clearance for a convoy. Saw a suspicious tunnel underneath the road. Went down there to see what was going on, and with two of his soldiers, and somebody remotely detonated an IED, killed the two soldiers he was with. He was injured. He didn't lose any limbs, but he was pretty severely injured. Got some artificial toes, really bad TBI and post-traumatic stress. Got medically retired, living in Kissimmee, Florida. Did not leave his house for a year and a half except to go to the VA. Doing lots of drugs, abusing, pain medication, opioids, drinking too much. A person down the street, a Vietnam vet, thought there was a single mom there, and knocked on the door one day, and Juan answered the door. He tricked him into going to play golf. He joined Fairways For Warriors, and in about a year and a half, had basically quit drinking, quit abusing pain medication, actually was able to cut back on his pain medication. And he was an athlete. He was actually could have been probably a professional soccer player, but with his injuries, obviously couldn't do that any longer. Really just fell in love with golf. In a year and a half, he actually got his handicap down to like a 10. And this totally changed his life. I mean, he is a totally different person now. I mean, it's helped him so much with his family, and he had no really relationship with his family, and he was just sitting at home not doing anything, and so this has completely changed his life for him.
That's great. I love hearing these stories. I can't wait to experience it, Tom. When do you see your next event? I know through all the COVID-19, the CCP virus, when do you see your next event?
Well, the golf courses are not closed, so we are still holding golf outings for our veterans. I one coming up tomorrow here in North Carolina, and another one next week. So we're still having golf outings, and we provide golf instruction, golf equipment if needed, and rounds of golf for our veterans at no cost to them and their family members. So we're doing that pretty frequently. The downside of the coronavirus is that we haven't been able to hold fundraising golf tournaments. That's how we raise most money. So that has kind of stopped. So if anybody out there would like to donate to an incredible cause to help our combat veterans, they could go to our website at fairwaysforwarriors.org.
Great. Good plug there. And Diego, would you like to add something else before we wrap the show up?
Yeah, if someone's interested in learning more about the accelerated resolution therapy, there is information on my webpage, which is balancedlivingpsychology.com, or you can check the artinternational.org. That's one of the agent organizations. It's a nonprofit that provides training to therapists in this technique. The Veterans Alternative in Hudson, Florida, actually offers ART along with a number of other services at no cost to veterans, and that's one of the organizations that I work with.
Outstanding. Hey, while I got you, Diego, can you bring up Colonel Mann, because Colonel Mann was all over the Epic Times just recently, and his new book came out on Kindle. They had a special on it on Epic Times. You want to give a little plug for Colonel Mann, the Green Beret?
Sure, yeah. A retired Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann. He has two organizations, and I work with both. One is Rooftop Leadership, where we take battle-tested leadership skills and try to share that knowledge and information, within the civilian world, in corporate America, small business owners. And we also have the Hero's Journey, which is a project that helps veterans tell their stories. So we do storytelling workshops. And right now, the Hero's Journey in this past year has sponsored the play The Last Bout, an elegy for Green Beret. And we've traveled all around the country. I've worked with people before and after. I worked with the cast and the crew. Because some of these same techniques can be used not only to resolve a traumatic memory, but also to improve performance. And that's why I've been able to use it with athletes and stuff, similar to some of the active duty folks that I've worked with. So what we've done, with the current crisis, was take a lot of that content and put it together in a free online series on the Rooftop Leadership website, and a lot of that is contained in that Kindle book. It's Leading Through Chaos, and it's lots of tools and a way to wrap your head around some of these circumstances, because we still have to make decisions, we still have to act, and those of us are responsible for folks, and it's really how to lead.
This has really been a Revitalizing Lives show. So just to let you know, Tom, that's the name of the show, Revitalizing Lives. And you can hear us on www.klrnradio.net/show/2254. Once again, gentlemen, I want to thank you for spending your time on this great, beautiful day. I'm going to get you both jealous because I set up my own little chipping range about 30 yards away from me. I have a 6-acre green backyard. So I'm going to go chip some golf balls, all right? All right, guys, thank you so much for your time, and reach out to fairwayforwarriors.org, and they could use some donations at this time for the greatest cause, the #1 golf therapy for our wounded warriors. Thanks again, guys. You have a great day. Signing out, Sergeant Dave with klrnradio.net. All right, it's getting 0:30 for the show. And before I relax, never, and go into rack ops mode, go to sergeantdavematthews@gmail.com if you have any ideas or resources for our veterans and community. And you can always comment me on my Twitter handle at Sergeant Dave at Heroic Memorials. And you can like my Facebook page, Resurrecting Lives, on klrnradio.net. Well, until all of our troops come home from Afghanistan, share this podcast to all your other patriotic friends. This ground pounder will appreciate it. So now Thursdays and Friday nights on klrnradio.net. Enjoy the ending of this song.